Rev up your engines!
Dash 756 says, should I shift my Honda CVT 2019 into neutral at a stoplight? No. They were designed to run the way that they are. You do not want to shift them into neutral. They weren't designed for that. You're going to wear stuff out doing that. I had a customer that did that, and what happened was the transmission started slipping and breaking because he kept going neutral drive, neutral drive, neutral drive, and it wore stuff out inside. They're not made for that. They were designed to be in gear while you're going down the road. Now, as any car, let's say you're going to be sitting at a railroad track waiting for a train to go by, and it's going to take 10, 15 minutes. You should just put your car in park, put the brake on, and turn it off. Because no car was made to sit there idling and drive for long periods of time. Now, let's say it's super hot outside. Well, you could shift it into park then and leave it idling to keep the air conditioner running if you want to. It's better than leaving it in drive, which is going to drag the engine more. But when you're just normally driving, just leave it in drive. Unless you're going to sit for a lengthy period of time, then you're better to just shut the whole thing off. Cars were not made for sitting idling. They just were not designed for that. And things will wear out. The transmission will overheat. But just stopping and going and driving isn't going to do any damage to it. You don't want to shift it into neutral. Lord Rice says, I watched your video on sealing fix, and I want to ask, for my rear differential, when I change the fluid, how much should I add? Okay, well, the stuff I'm talking about is AT205 Reseal. A company called ATP in Chicago makes it. You can get it on Amazon, lots of places. Comes in a little bottle. I would say put 3 ounces of it with the rest of your oil in the differential and see what happens. It's very good for rejuvenating seals. Now, of course, if the seal's completely shot, ripped, torn, it ain't going to fix that. But over time, the seals start to get hard. They harden up. And this rejuvenates rubber, and they're rubber seals. So if you put it in and give it like 250, 300 miles of driving, if you see it stops dripping, it did its job. I'd say about 3 ounces in the differential. It goes any kind of petroleum oil it'll mix with. It's phenomenal stuff. I mean, if it doesn't work, it means your seals are just shot, and you have to take it apart and replace them. They can be ripped, they can be torn. It's not going to fix that. It only fixes out old, dried out ones. Starthrip says, my 04 Chevy Tahoe brakes are scary. Sometimes they stiffen up. I have to push as hard as I can to get it to stop. Mechanic says it's a booster, and he wants $1,800. You know if I can do it? What do you think? All right. Well, it's just bolt on, bolt off. Now, there's a lot of crap in the way. You got to get out of the way. But it's basically a bolt off, bolt on. I got a video on placing a brake booster. Watch it. Now, they make remanufactured brake boosters that are usually pretty good. And you can certainly do the job for a lot less than that. Get a remanufactured one. Look at the videos. You don't mind hand tools? What the heck? Give it a try. It's not rocket science to do. And he's right. I mean, the only thing that can make them get rock hard is the booster isn't boosting. Then they get rock hard. So the booster's obviously gone bad on it, right? But what the heck? You can get rebuilt ones that are pretty good. Bolting on yourself, it all just bolts off and bolts on. It's not like it's rocket science. The bolts are kind of hard to get to under the dash. You got to go upside down and reach in, get a flashlight, but it's doable. Marcus Mitchell says, I put oil dye in my engine oil. Drove it for a while, I don't see anything. I think it's a pretty slow leak. Is it okay to leave it in until I change the oil? Oh yeah, it doesn't hurt anything. A little bit of oil leak doesn't hurt anything at all. Now, here's the thing. If you have a leak, the dye will show the leak. You get the yellow sunglasses, the UV light, and you look all around. Now, do what I did. I just made a video on it the other day. Do it inside a garage where it's dark, because in broad daylight, it's hard to see the UV light, but in the dark, you see it really well. Or do it outside in your driveway at night when it's dark with the UV light, and you'll see where it's coming from. Now, let's say, wait a month after the dye's been in, so it's definitely going to leak out if it's leaking. And you don't see any leaks coming out anywhere, you don't have a leak. You're just burning oil. You will not see the dye coming out if you're burning oil. And a lot of people think they got an oil leak, and I tell them, look, you're not leaking any oil, you're burning oil. Say you're losing oil in an engine, you got to add oil, right? A quart of oil will cover like a football-sized field. You would have giant drips everywhere on the ground if that was the case. But let's see there's no drips on the ground, and you're losing that kind of oil, a quart. You're burning it. You can't see it. It just burns out the tailpipe. And kind of an easy way of doing that is when it's cold, of course, so you don't burn yourself. Stick your finger in the back of the tailpipe inside, and if it's all slimy and black, it's burning oil. It's pretty easy to check that way. Sakana Sandbar says, I got a 94 Chevy diesel. It used to be a school bus, now it's a camper with 270,000 miles. When I go uphill, the temperature goes into the red. The last mechanic said it's normal. It is normal to me. What do you say? Well, of course it's not normal, but it's an old school bus at 270,000 miles. Now, there's generally one of two things going on. Either the engine is all worn or the radiator's just shot. I would do a compression test of that diesel engine. If the compression's low, you know the engine's worn out, and you more or less would just live with it. As long as it ran cool when you're going on level ground, I'd live with it. Now, if the compression's good, it could just be a bad radiator. Because if the radiator is all old and clogged, when you get strain going uphill, the extra heat the engine makes can't be dissipated because the radiator's old and it can't dissipate that extra heat. But I mean, it does have 270,000 miles. I'm assuming that diesel engine's pretty worn. And let's face it, it was a school bus. Now it's a camper van. They don't maintain school buses all that well. Maintenance isn't that big. The school districts don't really spend a lot of money maintaining their vehicles correctly. Well, you want 8 reasons not to buy a Tesla? Well, watch this guy's videos on YouTube. His name's Matt Danadell, and he goes through 8 reasons you shouldn't buy one, and he owns 2 of them, right? Now, one of his main arguments, and I agree entirely, is he says the service is just horrendous. They don't have enough things to service. They're snobs. They, of course, don't stock many parts because old Elon's building as many as he can. He's not really building replacement parts. So you get in a wreck in one of those things, you can be waiting months to get parts to get your car fixed. And another thing he whined about is they don't have Android or Apple CarPlay. You know, Elon's got his own system, which he says is better, right? Tesla uses its proprietary software for that stuff, right? And people can say whatever they want. You're used to your phone and your information. Put it in your car and use it. Who needs to learn another system, you know? That's what I say. I get these people all the time that are trying to sell me systems so I can use them in my videos and they get PR, right? And they say, well, try this, try that. And I've even come down to some, I said, I don't understand why you even make this product. You got the standalone screen thing, you got to put it somewhere in a car, right? And what does it do? It does less than what my phone does. Why would I even care? The phone works perfectly fine. And people say, well, we got this great GPS system going, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so does my phone, you know? What do I need something else that's big and bulky? You got to wire it on the car or plug it into the cigarette lighters and have wires going all over the place. Hey, see this? It's a wireless phone, right? And it works perfectly fine. Why would you need all this extra crap? If you can't make these phones hook up to the system, I say they think they got a better system. Hey, whether it's better or not, people are used to something and they stick to it. I met people that I'll say, oh man, I really like these Google phones. The software is great. I use them to broadcast stuff. They have good talk to text, right? And I said, why are you using an Apple phone? They said, well, I learned on one and I'm used to their system, right? So they continue to use it. Even though the software in these babies for analyzing cars, talk to text, blows the Apple stuff away, right? And they used to say, oh, wow, the Apple phone, great pictures and all that. Had these Google phones take better pictures than any of them. And I spent my life photographing stuff, so he might think he has a better idea, old Elon, with the stuff, but I don't think so. And this guy, you got to watch his videos on YouTube. He's got some interesting videos. He owns 2 Teslas. He's telling you 8 reasons why you wouldn't want to buy one. Nectar Pages says, can I convert my Suzuki to LPG? It burns a lot of gasoline. It's only getting 16 miles a gallon. Can I convert it? Well, you can do whatever you want. Converting things to LPG is totally doable because, of course, they burn better and stuff. But here's the thing you're going to find. If that thing's only getting 16 miles a gallon, you convert it. The engine's probably somewhat worn. It'll use a lot of LPG. LPG is not gas mileage efficient. It burns cleaner. That's the thing. But you're going to go through an awful lot of LPG. Gasoline has a lot of energy in it, right? There's a lot less energy density in them. So it can be done. There's lots of places to convert them. People have converted them for ages. Now, some parts of the world, LPG is readily available and cheap, so people do it. Here in the United States, it's not so cheap, so people really don't do it all that often. They tried years ago, and then they found out, geez, it cost so much more, and then you just gave up with it in most cases. Unless you're someplace like, say, you're a farmer, and you got a gas well, what the heck? You might as well use your gas, use that to run your vehicles. Total sense. But for most people, we don't have a gas well in our backyard. Oriel Garage says, I'm in Australia, and we can import cars from Japan. I want to get a Honda S660. But can you drive them outside of Japan? What do you think about how will it cost to fix them? Here in the United States, most states do not allow them to be driven legally. I've seen people import them and then they can't drive it because they can't register and get a license plate for it, right? There's certain laws, they got to meet certain crash specifications and safety for the United States, and they don't meet it, so they can't. Now, I don't know what the Australian laws are. The problem is they're tiny cars, right? Tiny cars. You're in Australia. I've seen those road trains go down, those big old trucks they call road trains with all stuff they're carrying. Some of there will be 3 of them hooked up together, right? I wouldn't want to be driving a key car by one of those things. They'd squash you like a bug, right? I know people that live in Australia that have Japanese imports, and they said no, they didn't have any problem getting any parts. So do a little research. Can you get parts that these guys work on? If they do, go ahead. Just realize it's a tiny car. Australia's a big place. You might be pushing your luck getting out in the outback on one of those tiny little things. J.K. Potts 40 says, how do I reprogram a replacement Honda keyless remote? 2019 Honda Accord. I have 2 key fogs. I lost one. If I buy one from Amazon, can I reprogram it myself? No, you can't. I have like 8 different scan tools that can reprogram those things. Companies give them. I try them out. I see which ones work, which ones don't. Talk about them, right? You're not going to go out and buy one of those things. And the cheapest ones that can reprogram keys are generally about $400 or $500. I have ones that cost $7 grand to do it. You're not going to do that. So what you want to do is go to a locksmith, see what they charge to sell you the key and to reprogram it. You already have a key, you can drive there, so there's no service call, right? Start there. Now, let's say they want too much to sell you the key and reprogram it. Ask them what they charge to reprogram another key and if they'll do it. A lot of them will say, we won't do ones we buy on Amazon. We don't trust they're going to work, because they want to sell you the key. So you find a guy that'll sell you the key and program it together and it's fair price. Go ahead and do that. Now, if you find a guy who will reprogram anything, go ahead and buy the key. You can reprogram it. Now, most guys will be honest enough that they'll say, here's what I charge to reprogram, but you have to pay me whether it works or not if you buy the key from Amazon or eBay. Because you can't blame them. They will guarantee the key they sell you because they're getting it from a supplier and they know it works, right? If you supply one, there's a lot of locksmiths who say, sure, but realize this, if it doesn't work, you have to pay me my fee because I didn't buy that key. The key may be defective. So put that all into your head and decide what you want to do. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.